I mean, I was in a dark spot, and I had to step back and realize, what I really had going on, and started trying to replace roles to take a little bit of a load off me.
Hey, Skid Steer Nation. It is your host, Ryan Deemer, and we've got a new episode, which means it's Wednesday. Hopefully your week's going well. Guys, I'm really excited. We've been looking forward to doing this episode for quite a while. We've had to reschedule it once. We had to delay it today for a little bit. Life work gets in the way. We've just had to make it work. It's just like business, right? Figure it out. Well, today's guest, man, his name is Brandon, and if he's not the definition of what grit, hustle, and hard work can help you build the foundation for a great business, I don't know what is. Back in 2018, Brandon went from wrenching on truck transmissions to starting a grading company. He now works on projects like fire stations, libraries, utility installs, you name it. He started with just a little skid steer, and now he's grown to over a 20-person crew. You heard that right, over 20 people. So, guys, we're going to dig in today, figure out how you grow a team, because it can be a pain in the rear. Anyway, and just like everything else, guys, business success does not come without scars. He's been through a bunch between brutal cash flow battles, disasters at a quarry, accidents on sites. It's the kind of wisdom that most guys take decades to learn, and he's had it rammed in him in just a few years. So we're excited to introduce Brandon here in just a few seconds. But before I do, I want to remind all of you, hey, your attachments for your skid steer, there's nowhere else to go but skidsteernation.com. We vetted a bunch of American manufacturers. They make fantastic products. They come with ridiculous warranties. These things will increase your return on investment. If you're going to buy it right. We've done the homework for you. Head over to skidsteernation.com for your next skid steer attachment. And guys, it's the middle of the busy work season. And if you're lacking in any way or feel like you're missing some opportunities because people just aren't aware you're in the marketplace, don't forget, we have Throttled Up Marketing. It's a marketing company designed specifically for excavation companies to help you get your online presence dialed in, rank higher on Google. We also have a graphic design team and a bunch of other services to go along with it. But if you have any interest at all, open up the show notes, click the link, schedule a call. You'll actually probably speak to me directly. So please do that. And don't forget to like and share and do all that other fun stuff that you do with YouTube videos and podcasts. So, all right, now that we're done with the roll-ins, I want to welcome Brandon Deemer. You're out in North Carolina, Deemer Precision Grading Company. Thank you so much for taking time and joining us today, man.
Yes, sir, not a problem.
Yeah. I was doing a little research. It looks like your father's in general construction, right?
Yeah, so my dad, he builds homes.
Was it that experience being around him and watching him do that, and that kind of got your interest in the dirt work, or how did you break free from being a mechanic and wanting to get into dirt work?
Not really. I mean, I've never really been interested in the building side of things. I mean, I worked for him obviously growing up over the summers. But after high school, I just kind of wanted to do my own thing. Got a job working on building transmissions and rear ends and for dump trucks, and then I actually started going to school to be a diesel mechanic, and I didn't really like only being able to work 30 hours a week and then having to go to school and all that. So I ended up getting a job at a local grading company called Earnhardt Grading. They're out of Denver, right around Denver, North Carolina. I worked for them for probably 4 or 5 years, and just learned everything I could. And went to a couple other companies between then and now, and started doing some work on the side. Eventually, it turned into buying a skid steer, and here we are.
And here we are. How much equipment do you have today now to keep your crew running properly?
So right now, we've got 2 336 excavators, a 350 Volvo, got a 250 Volvo, 2 324 cats, a couple mini excavators, D5 dozer, D3 dozer, track loader, a couple skid steers, a couple rollers. We've got two dirt crews right now, and then one utility crew right at the moment.
That's awesome.
But,
so I'm going to take it you didn't start by going after commercial work day one. You're probably doing what everybody else does and just get your feet wet, whatever any jack of all trades, whatever any customer needed.
Yeah. So actually starting out, I don't know if you ever heard of like Home Advisor.
Yeah.
I started out, I signed up for Home Advisor, man, and I just got an influx of like small backyard grading projects, putting out sod, little small drainage jobs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did that for a while, and then eventually moved into clearing lots, and that turned into bigger commercial jobs.
Well, was it like a contact that you met through lot clearing that gave you the first opportunity to get into larger projects, or was it you seeking them out?
I did a lot of cold calling, just calling local home builders and stuff, and then obviously my dad, you know, he's pretty reputable in building houses, and he's got a lot of friends in the business, so that did help a lot. You know, a lot of other people in the industry would you know, recognize the name and give me a call, and kind of, so that last name did help a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little jump start from starting at ground zero, but at the end of the day, your professionalism, your communication, your quality is the reason why you continue to get that work and you have opportunities to grow your company.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your first commercial project?
One of the first ones, I got in with a local GC. I want to say it was in a medical park. It wasn't it was a couple acre job. We come in and just kind of did the initial erosion control for them. So went in and built the initial pond and everything, and basically got it ready for them to come in and do the rest of the dirt work.
That's awesome. Did you have to hire people for that project, or did you already have enough crew?
No, I already had enough people to handle that. And what really got us into the commercial world, there's a huge company around out of Charlotte. It's called Hoopball Grading. A lot of people probably heard of them. I think they got like 700 or 800 employees now. But one of their superintendents, we had some mutual friends, and they reached out. They were looking for some utility subcontractors, and we put together a utility crew and started doing some work for them, and that really got our foot in the door in the commercial world. That turned into, at one point we had three full utility crews moving.
Damn. And I'm assuming the utilities for new construction?
Yes, sir. Yeah, for like a lot of new subdivisions. There's a lot of subdivisions going around here in the Charlotte area. A lot of commercial and industrial buildings, like massive warehouses and stuff like that.
Yeah. Excuse me. Are you seeing a big push like for data centers and like Amazon warehouses and all that because you're so around that Charlotte area and surrounding areas? Or
there is a lot of that going on around here. We're not really to that magnitude, so we haven't had any like invites to anything like that. But there's a lot of that going on around here.
Yeah. I feel like, excuse me, I was talking to you before we started recording that like one of the areas I really wanted to dig into was like growing a team. I think it's one of the areas that either scares the hell out of business owners or they just fumble it from the start, right? And I'm sure you had some fumbles along the way as well. But most guys I talk to that are getting ready to like hire their true first-time employee, like they feel like they're carrying the weight of the world. Like if I bring them on, I'm responsible for their family forever. How did you go about bringing on your first employee, or was it just more of a laid back, I know somebody, you need work, come join us?
So, also, like, when I first got started doing stuff like on the weekends and whatnot, it was just whatever buddies didn't have anything going on that weekend would come help out. But whenever I like made the jump to quit my job and go full time, I worked by myself for a little while. But I had one friend in particular that kind of jumped on and started helping me out, and it turned into full time. He worked for me for quite a while.
Yeah. How quickly did you hire help in the office?
Probably the last year and a half, 2 years.
Well, that's.
I'll say. So I hired an estimator about 3 years ago, and I would say that would be the only technical office position that we had. But that was like the next step for me, because I was spending hours doing takeoffs and trying to estimate these jobs, and it's just not one of my strong suits.
Yeah.
So ended up hiring him, and that was huge. That was a blessing.
So you don't have somebody on staff personally like handles receipts and basic bookkeeping or answers phones or checks emails or nothing like that? You're doing that all yourself?
So my wife, she helps out in the office, like keeping up with invoices and writing checks and stuff like that. But as far as like, I'm usually the one that makes sure most like bills are paid and stuff of that nature. And then she kind of handles like administrative stuff like that. And then we've got Phil, our project manager. He kind of handles like day-to-day things in the field, like scheduling and submittals, change orders, stuff like that.
That's awesome. Do you have since you've hired so many people over the last few years? I apologize. I got something stuck in my throat today. Have you had, whether subconsciously or like written out, do you guys have like training guides at all or onboarding packages for when you hire new employees to kind of streamline and make it easier?
So we have an employee handbook that we give new hires, and try to do like a orientation when we bring them on. And this is one of the things we really need some work on. Is I get a system whenever we bring new hires on, rather than just kind of having a meeting with them for an hour and kind of laying out expectations. We've talked about, really coming up with a system, like an onboarding system, maybe spending a day with them and really showing them like our true expectations as a company and everything. Because we've had, like last year, man, when we really, really boomed last year, and we were just trying to hire people left and right just so we could have the right amount of people to help. And it got out of hand. We weren't hiring the right people at all. And that kind of turned around and bit us on the back end, But that's all things you live and learn.
Yeah. What were some of the issues that you saw as in your company from hiring the wrong people?
So a lot of the guys that were here originally, man, they've kind of been here from close to the start. So we kind of had that like, I guess, brotherhood. And then you bring in a lot of outside people that don't really know my history or anybody else's history in the company or how the company actually started. And I think that played a big role in it. The culture wasn't, everybody didn't mesh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a lot of people expect more than they should, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and from my personal experience, because I mean, more so when I was in the bar and restaurant industry, we had 100 employees. Most of them are part time, right? But servers,
Yeah.
kitchen staff, wait staff, bartenders. So same shit though. Like you got a bunch of people, you just start feeling like, oh, you know a little bit about it. Come on in, come on in. And what I found looking back at that now is like, wow, I didn't do a good job setting clear expectations and boundaries of what that position is and what they're expected to do, and I just assumed they knew what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's a lot of it. We didn't vet a lot of people enough, and to make sure they knew what they said they know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, at the pace we were moving, we kind of put people in positions that they really wasn't ready for, hoping that we could make them ready in a short amount of time, and it didn't work out.
Did you have anyone in those sink or swim moments that actually swam and surprised you? Swam, sorry.
Yes. A couple actually. One of which, most of them that are in a leadership role, that are still with us, were those people. One in particular, he passed away a couple years ago. His name was Derek, and man, he rose to the occasion, and he was doing a jam up job, and then got into a bad motorcycle accident, and he's no longer with us, but he definitely had some potential.
Yeah. Speaking of motorcycles, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because everyone listening that's listened to more than 2 episodes is going to laugh at this. But like every other dirt work business owner, you geek out on motocross.
Yes, sir. Love it.
I don't know what the correlation is between you guys and motocross, but it's like 80%, man.
Yeah, you grow up racing motocross and going to these tracks and stuff, and now I got all the toys to play in the sandbox. You know, I got my own track here at the house, and I mean it's honestly living the dream, being able to go out there and building your own track and then going and riding it.
So do you still ride competitively also?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I race about every weekend. I try to ride twice a week.
There's nothing in the back of your mind that's like, you're responsible for 20 people's livelihood. Is this the smartest decision you should be making as a business owner?
The thought crosses my mind, but at the end of the day, I've got a solid team, you know, behind me, and if I know that if I leave the picture for a week or two to go on vacation, like I know for a fact my team's got stuff handled.
I'm thinking more like 6 months when you wrap yourself around a tree and you're out of commission for like.
Well, I'd still find a way to be out there helping.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha.
I'll be in crutches out in the field.
I mean, I love that because I feel like, and myself included in this conversation, right? Like, we can find reasons to be so busy with work or with family that we lose who we are as individuals when we're growing a business.
Yeah, and then, I mean, man, I'll be honest, my first 3 or 4 years in business, like that was all I did. It was business. It was work. I mean, I was 14 to 16 hour days, 6 days a week. And, I mean, you kind of got to step back sometimes and realize okay, yeah, obviously that's important, but you know, you got family and you've got your personal time that you need to take care of yourself. They say there's 3 things in life. I think it's work, it's family, or finances, family, and I'm drawing a blank here. But it's hard to have all three of those things, you know, in check 100%. One of them is usually lacking something, and I kind of had to rethink, you know, make sure I was there for my family more and everything, but at the same time, if I wouldn't have put all that work in, I wouldn't be we wouldn't be where we're at now.
I agree 100%. And for me, when we started the marketing company, I specifically told my business partner, I'm like, you have a 12-month runway. I'll do whatever it takes for 12 months. But if we're not building systems and the team to remove me from the majority of the work during those 12 months, like, then we failed as a company, because I didn't start this to have another job.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's one of the things as business owners, we don't take that time to look at that runway. Like, all right, it's going to be 24 or 36 months from day one, and I need to make sure we've got assistants in the office, so I'm not tracking down checks or mailing this, and I need to have one good lead that if I had to leave a job site, he can run this. We don't plan that out soon enough. We just kind of hope it happens organically. And for you, it worked out well, but most guys, they fall on their face with that. They hire the wrong people, or they get scared of growth because that one guy jaded them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I did learn very quick, that I can't do all the roles. For one, I'm not good at all the roles, and for two, you can only do everything for so long before you just burn yourself out. And there was a point a few years ago, man, that it got to a point where I wasn't healthy, mentally, physically, anything. Yeah, I mean, I was in a dark spot, and I kind of had to step back and realize, what I really had going on, and started trying to replace roles, to take a little bit of load off me. That's a huge investment when you're hiring somebody for a leadership role. But at the end of the day, it is always worth it. As long as you make sure you get the right person in that role, it is 100% worth it.
Yeah, and I repeat this on a lot of different episodes, but I mean, the best advice I ever heard about hiring was hire slow. What's the middle one? Hire slow, train fast, fire even faster.
Yeah. And that's one of my biggest downfalls, man, is whenever we need people, we would jump and hire the first person to come available, and then, like it doesn't take long to realize somebody's not the right fit for the position you hire them for. But at the same time, man, like, I get firing somebody is one of the hardest things I think that a business owner can do, and because I take everything pretty personal myself, and like, these guys are my family. I give people a lot more chances than I should, and that's probably one of my biggest downfalls as a business owner.
I think it's many business owners' biggest downfall is, you carry a little guilt.
Yeah.
You can easily, you can talk yourself into, like, well, maybe I just didn't train him enough, or if I give him a little more time, he'll get a little more proficient. But
yeah, I mean, there's been times where I've had to, if I try to put somebody in a leadership role because I see potential in them, and I know they can do it. It's just a matter of them getting themselves to that point. But some people just aren't ready, and they don't have it in them. And at the end of the day, if I still put them in that role, if they're not ready, that's kind of on me, and I got to own that.
Yeah.
And there's been times where where that's happened, and we realize it, and we got to put them back in a lower role. But at the end of the day, that's on me. I failed them for not putting them where they need to be.
Well, it's very hard to understand this because we're business owners, right? Like, we just assume everyone's wired the same way we are, and a lot of people aren't. Like, you can find the best damn operator of that excavator, and he could be on time every day, have great ideas, and you're like, man, this guy'd be amazing as a foreman. He wants nothing to do with managing other people.
Yep. All he cares about is being in that machine. He don't want to deal with everybody else's attitude.
And then we press them to take a lead role, and then it goes south, and all because we think he's wired the same way we are.
Yeah. what kind of got my reputation, you know, when I first got started is like, man, when I got done with a job, like whether it's a finish grade or whatever, when I got done with that job, I wanted, even if somebody didn't know a thing about grading, when they drove by that job site, I wanted them to think, dang, that's a clean job. You know what I'm saying? Like I would put, God, dude, I'd spend an extra hour or two just trying to make sure, you know, a little 1 inch tall windrow wasn't there. And I expected the same thing kind of out of my people, but at the same time, not everybody's wired like that. Like my 100% isn't my 100% done with a job might be, you know, I would
their
consider
100% might be your 90%. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, you got to kind of realize that and not. You got to step back and just let them do their thing and not try not to. Because at the end of the day, their 90% is still done. It's a good job,
right.
And you can't critique them too much for doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan Martell says it best, man. 80% complete is 100% awesome because I didn't have to do it.
Yep.
Man, so I love that. It's the lessons learned, or, you know, for me, it's don't take the weight of the world on your shoulders when you're getting ready to hire somebody. Like, do what's best for the business and separate it from you. Make sure you've got some sort of even if it's just in your head, a training process you want to run these guys through. Get rid of the bad ones quickly. Don't talk yourself into keeping them. I love that you threw guys into sink or swim. It's like, hey, we're going to find out what they're made of and promote some and get rid of others, and you're probably a better team for it.
Yeah. I mean, we got a solid group of guys. Now we've had to do some soul searching the past year or so because, like I said, when we grew so fast last year, man, we were just hiring people left and right, and like I said, we weren't hiring some of the right guys. But now we've got a solid group of guys right now.
That's fantastic. I think another topic that a lot of guys, I'm interested in hearing about your take on, it's going to be intriguing to know, but I bet you use the words cash flow 7 or 8 times in our little survey we ask you so we can kind of learn about you and all that. So I can't imagine some of the pickles that you found yourself in if it's that much top of brain for you.
Yeah. You know, starting out slow or starting out, you know, when it's just maybe you and a couple guys, you might have, you know, a skid steer payment, a pickup truck payment. If you get into mini excavator, you have an excavator payment. But whenever you're doing jobs that might take you 2-3 days, typically that customer's paying you whenever you finish that job. So you might, if you probably got a little bit of money in the bank, you might need a couple $1,000s worth of materials. No big deal. You know, you're getting paid in a day or two. You might have a credit card to float some of those materials or whatever, but at the end of the day, you know, you're getting paid. Once you start getting into bigger projects, you know, you're waiting on your money anywhere from 30 to 90 days, sometimes more than that. And in the meantime, you know, you've got to furnish the labor, the equipment, the materials, everything to complete that job. And you're having to float that until you get paid. And if you're using a line of credit to help with that, you're paying interest on that every month. And all that adds up. And so when you go from, like we did, from 7 guys to 30 guys in less than a year, the amount of money you think you have saved up, you better triple it, quadruple it, because it disappears in a hurry. you got to think about those things before you jump and expand that quick. And that's just some of the hurdles, we had to jump through and learn as we went. A lot of calling suppliers and everything. Hey, we can't make this payment this month. Can you let us hold out for another 30 days until we get this check in? And not only that, I mean, you got to think about, subcontractors and all that. You got to make sure you keep them paid. But payroll is number one, because that's a weekly cost. Every Friday, that's coming out, no matter whether you like it or not. That has to come out. Got to make sure you guys are paid. And I think that's cash flow is life or death when you start growing a business.
Oh, it'll sink you faster than anything else. Yeah. Especially in that, because you've had a project or two where they held back your retention too, right?
Yeah. One in particular. It was right around the time my buddy Derek that I was telling about passed away, and I was supposed to be his job. And kind of the next person we had in line was it's actually my little brother that we were trying to train, and he just back to that deal. He just wasn't ready, and we had so much stuff going on, between me and the utility manager that I had at the time. We weren't able to spend enough time on that job and really, do QC, quality control, and that turned around and bit us pretty hard. We spent probably a month on that job just trying to chase down water leaks, a lot of which was under asphalt that was poured, and it was a hard month.
Yeah. I mean, not to change topics, but to change topics, I'm just curious because it kind of resembles some things that's happened to me in my life. But do you think any part of you found reasons to be busy so you didn't have to go do quality control in that because it was going to remind you of your friend?
Not really.
Okay.
At the end of the day, man, I mean, you gotta keep trucking. I mean, life goes on, unfortunately.
But as you know, man, our subconscious brains work in mysterious ways, and it isn't until months or years later you're like, oh, that's why I did it that way,
Yeah. I mean, it was just we had so much work going on at that time, man. It was just we couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And that was back to like we were talking before we went on air. Is just because you have a good opportunity pop up in front of you doesn't mean you should say yes every time. You gotta sit back and weigh your options.
You gotta run through. You gotta have some sort of a risk analysis, whether it's on a spreadsheet, notebook, in your head. But you can't just blindly say, "Damn, this is a great opportunity. Let's do it." Like you gotta run some sort of a risk analysis.
Yep. Yeah,
because I'm sure you've had some commercial jobs where if you would have known that you were not going to get paid for 90 days, you're like, this is not the right opportunity for me because I don't even know how I'd get past day 30, let alone 90.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
A lot of working with what we got.
Yep. Yeah. How do you go through, like, what's your, like, and I don't know if you could even clearly explain it, most guys can't, but, like, do you have, like, a mental process? Like, when times get tough or things get, like, hard, like what's your mental process to figure out and not get overwhelmed or like pull away from it, but to lean in and like take care of it?
Grit, man. You at the end of the day, it's got to get done. I don't even know, like there's been times, man, where you're like, how the hell am I going to get out of this situation? And at the end of the day, I mean, you figure it out because not only does your livelihood depend on it, but you've got several other guys that you're providing for. You don't want to let them down. Sometimes you got to get very creative on how to get through some things.
Those creative methods, like, do you look for outside sources, like mentors or other business owners, for some advice or guidance? Because you can't see the forest through the trees sometimes when you're in it. Or how do you figure out creative methods when you need to?
I try to, sometimes, man, you gotta take some time to get by yourself and really do some deep thinking. And at the end of the day, I mean, I've got a good group of people around me, that will help in times of need. So,
have you ever had any breakthroughs when you're on the motocross bike?
Man, not really, because when I'm on that bike, I ain't thinking about work.
Yeah.
That's kind of the couple hours, that, I'm able to really.
That's the
kinda
true disconnect for you. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Have you had to do a lot of contract revisions because of all the commercial work? Have you been walked into any traps because your contracts weren't good enough?
Yeah, I mean, typically, on most of these jobs, you're kind of sucked into the GC's contract. So, you can put certain stipulations in your proposal. Whenever you send your proposal in, but at the end of the day, they send you their master subcontract, and a lot of time we'll review it, and we might, redline a couple items, say, hey, we don't agree with this. Can we change this? Sometimes they'll agree to it. Sometimes they say, no, sorry, we can't change that. And then it's you forfeit the job, or you sign the contract and deal with it. Sometimes that's the kind of the bad part about, getting into commercial work, is all the legalities and everything. Everything's a lot more political than just going out and clearing a lot for a home builder.
Yeah, a lot more red tape, a lot more. I mean, you hear stories of it all the time, right? Like contractors just burn through subs because they know there's another guy coming up the road right behind them that wants the opportunity to do commercial, and they don't have to treat you right.
Yep. And then we've worked for a couple terrible GCs, man, that will just run you through the ringer and take advantage of you every opportunity they can. And then, we've got a couple we work for now that they're by the book, man. Like they're not going to let you take advantage of them, but at the same time, they take care of you.
They feel more like your partner, right?
Right. Because at the end of the day, if we fail, then in a sense they fail. So they've taken care of us so far. So,
have you ever noticed what kind of traits you look for if you were to meet a new contractor? Would you get a good feeling of whether they're going to be a good one to work for, or fly by night, or try to grind you out, just from basic traits that you've learned working with both of those types?
Yeah. Over the past year or so, I've kind of learned. I know what to look for now, and usually you can identify some things right away before you even sign a contract. Like whenever when they're de-scoping you, you're reviewing your proposal and everything. Certain things you can kind of tell, like, okay, these guys are going to be a pain to work for.
What are some red flag items, if you can think of them off the top of your head, that if somebody's looking at getting into commercial, you should be aware of these couple things up front?
Really, man, like if they're nickel and diming you right off the bat, and you're already one of the low bidders, that's kind of like if they're strictly looking for a low bid contractor. Now, there's some nuances to that. Like if it's a CMAR job, like for like a municipality or something, they kind of have to do that. They have to accept a low bid. But if right off the bat they're trying to nickel and dime you, usually you're going to have issues with them.
So find somebody who's more worried about the quality of the work and the time frame than the cost.
Right. Right. And then like I try to be like we're never I try not to be that low cost contractor. I don't want to be, the highest priced. Sometimes we are, but my reputation, what I want my reputation to be is I want to provide quality work, and I want to provide it in a timely manner. If you're looking for a low bid contractor that's going to do work as cheap as possible, that's not us. And I try to, make that clear with any GC that we're providing a bid for.
Yep. Is selling your punctuality and like your commitment to hitting deadlines and time frames, has that been like a big deal for you for growth?
Yeah, I think so. I always, like, if I'm not going to do something 100%, I don't want to do it at all. I got OCD in that matter. Like, when I leave a job, man, it like if I know something's not 100%, it irks me to the core. Like I got to make sure it's done right,
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part about growing for me and expanding, because for the first couple of years, I was that guy on the job that did it from start to finish. So I knew without a doubt that it was 100% when I left. Once you start hiring people, and you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs going on at one time, you can go visit that job once a week if you're lucky, but you don't know every step in the process. So, and later on, if you get a complaint from a GC and something might not be up to their standards, that kind of doesn't sit well with me. So that's probably the hardest part about, somebody like me expanding the business.
Yeah. Where did this like attention to detail and striving for perfection with the things you do in your life, where does that stem from? Does it stem from sports when you were a kid? Does it stem from like watching your father with his business, or did it grow in?
100%. My father and my grandfather, they instilled that in me at a young age. If you're going to do it 100%. If you're not going to do it 100%, don't do it at all. I think that's that's just always been something. They've instilled that in me to give everything that extra at the end. That's really been a blessing. I thank him for that all the time.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's not amazing. It's nature, but it's pretty cool to see how great values instilled at a young age maintain and push who you are as adults. But at the same time, we have the ability to break the chain if there's bad values instilled and build our own. Like we're not predetermined to be whatever our environment was as a child.
Yeah.
But it sure the hell does help when it's the right environment.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My dad was very, very hard on me. At the time, I hated it. Whenever I was a stubborn ass teenager, we didn't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. But as I kind of grew up and started my family and everything, I look back and I thank God for it every day, because he knew what he was doing. He wasn't trying to be a friend. He was trying to be my father.
Yep, parent over friendship, man.
Yep. And he knew he had a job to do. That was to turn me into a young man. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like that's another one of those hidden blessings, if you have it, is like just having that good mentor, whether it be a parent, neighbor, grandparent, to kind of instill those values in you at a young age.
Yeah.
Blessed
sure.
when you have it.
For sure.
See, Brandon, I was the youngest child in my family. So by the time I came around, they're like, he's fine. He'll figure it out. Like there was no babying, coddling. Like there wasn't a lot of pressure to be great. It was just like, don't do stupid shit. So, and blessing and a curse. I had a really good mind, and school came very simple to me. So I didn't have to try hard at all at school, and I could do shit last minute and exceed 90% of the class, which was great in high school. Kicked my ass in college, and it was a habit I had to break as an adult, because you can't wait until the last minute to do things all the time.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I was, up until at least 9th or 10th grade. Then I had other things on my mind. But, I kind of, grades weren't so good my junior and senior year as they were prior.
Yeah. I got lucky because I tested so well, they put me in like those advanced placement classes. And if you're in the AP classes, the teachers are like, well, you're not an idiot, so it's fine. Like, I showed up 30 minutes late to school almost every day, and I was never marked tardy once by the government teacher. Like,
that's awesome.
He's just like, he's like, you test fine, you're this. He's like, it's fine. I'm like, awesome. So again, but I was being rewarded for being bad. They're all habits I had to break as an adult.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, man. I know we kind of briefly touched on it, but you do a lot of soul searching or self-development. Do you seek out other groups of people? Do you read?
Yeah, I read. I try to read every day, but it usually turns 4 or 5 days a week. Lucky I try to get 10 pages in a day. A lot of podcasts. I listen to Andy Frisella. Listen to him about every day. And then the Per Diem podcast with Keaton Turner. He owns Turner Mining Group.
Okay.
That's been an awesome podcast. He actually just started that one in January of this year.
Is that podcast more beneficial for you as a person or as a business owner?
Honestly, both. Because at the end of the day, man, if you're not taking care of yourself, whether it be health wise or mentally and physically, you really can't perform at your best. Taking care of a business or just in life in general. So I take fitness pretty seriously. That's another thing. Racing motocross, that kind of gives me a goal to work towards, being in shape. And then, because man, I've been, as far as the mental aspect goes, man, I've been in some dark places, and at some point you kind of got to get that victim mentality out of your head. Life isn't just picking on you. Like, everybody's got their battles they're facing, and you kind of got to realize, like, okay, I just got to man up and deal with this shit and keep grinding, and work on myself, and getting into shape physically. It really helped me with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so spurty. I'm spurty with working out. I'm spurty with reading. I'm spurty with meditation. And
yeah.
And I can I'll tell you right now, you can feel, and there's a difference when you're not in sync with some of that stuff.
Yeah. I'd say I'm kind of the same way a lot with, working out at this point, I'm pretty consistent with that. But like reading, there's spurts where I'll go, a few weeks without touching a book, and stuff like that. But just life gets in the way sometimes. You gotta. I hate the phrase, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. It's, you have time with what you make time for.
You didn't prioritize it.
Exactly. And that's okay. Sometimes you got to prioritize different things in your life. But at the end of the day, if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of anybody else, including your family or your employees?
Yeah, and here's the thing for me. I notice a difference when I don't read in the morning. And like reading in the morning, I don't know about you, but I always tend to operate in that fight or flight adrenaline feeling. Like, I got to get it done. I got to get done now. It's like everything's a rush. Everything's stressful. Like, and sometimes it's a good stress. Like I feed off of it. It's not a struggle. It's like, yes, it's awesome. But it's still the same difference on your nervous system in your body. And I find if I read in the morning that it slows me down, that I can like approach the day at a more balanced level and not have the spiky highs and the deep lows.
Yeah, I can 100% relate with that. Mornings where I'm able to get up early, kind of before anybody else in the house is up, and sit down and have, even if it's 10 minutes to yourself where you can just sit down and drink your coffee and read a few pages, it really sets a different tone for the day.
100% it does. I just walk in more balanced. Yeah.
But I kind of like you said, where you're kind of fight or flight. Like, you're probably the same way. You're running a couple different businesses. You're constantly getting stuff thrown at you, where it's one phone call, this is happening, and then you got an issue on this job, and you're constantly problem solving, and your mind's constantly working, no matter what time of day it is. And it feels kind of weird if you do get a couple hours where your phone's not ringing.
You don't know what to do with yourself.
There's a little bit of peace. You're like, okay, well, what the hell am I going to do now? It's like
100%.
It's like you're waiting. You're anticipating that stress, and you're like,
don't get too comfortable. The phone's going to ring in a minute.
Yeah.
Man. What's been some of your favorite books you've read in the last 6-12 months?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. The Power of Positive Thinking by Vincent Norman Peale. That's probably one of my go-tos. Back to the subconscious mind. What's in your head and what your thoughts play more in your life than you think. Those negative thoughts, they come to life, and they will hold you back.
Yeah, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's got a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and it's all getting into like everything we do is programmed from somewhere else, and we have to actually rewire and reprogram ourselves. So if you're a victim mentality, like you probably felt like a victim for decades, right? So you can't wake up and say, I'm not going to be a victim anymore, because your body will take over your mind, and it'll take you right into the atmosphere and environment that you're used to, where you're comfortable. So you actually have to like rewire and like re-speak to yourself. And it's a really good aha moment. Like if you're struggling with some of that mental stuff in that regard, and he gives you some tips on how you can slowly or start changing how you look at things, which then rewires, not to get technical, but the synapses in your brains with your nerve endings. So if you can reroute things, then your mind thoughts are different.
Yeah. Another book, all of Jocko Willink's books, they're awesome. The Dichotomy of Leadership. And then another book I really found good use in was Traction by Gino Wickman. Yeah. Any
Traction's a great book, and then he's got a couple other ones too. Rocket Fuel.
I've purchased all of them. I just haven't read all of them yet.
Yeah.
I'm reading right now. I'm reading a book by Cameron Haynes called Undeniable.
That dude's fucking nuts.
Yeah, he is. He's wild. I'm like 50 pages in right now, but it's the things he's done is pretty unreal.
I mean, let's go do a 100-mile run and then come back and shoot shoot a bow and arrow 190 yards for competition, and then go hike this mountain just for shits and giggles. And I'm like, dude's crazy.
He's out doing a 10-day hunt in the mountains of Alaska.
Yeah. I love it though, right? Like, I think we're all wired and born for some adventure in our life, and those that don't go find it, you'll notice, in my opinion, like they watch a ton of shit on television or YouTube that, like, if they could put themselves in those shoes, right? And again, do we not do it, Brandon, because we make excuses like we're too busy growing the business, or I have kids, that we don't take the 3 days to go do some wild thing out of the normal to make us feel alive again?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy what some of the stuff he's done, but at the same time, man, it's you let time. Another book I've been I started an audio book on because I haven't bought the physical copy yet. It's Time Anxiety. That's the name of it. I don't know who the author is, but one thing I've been trying to work on is taking advantage more like of time and not letting, because like if you got a whole list of things in front of you, you got to get done. You don't even know where to start, and that kind of, you have a hard time staying on track with one thing until it's done. You might get 50% done over here and then jump to another task, and it just kind of bounce back and forth. So that's something I've been trying to work on, is making better use of the time I have, and being more intentful with what I'm doing with the time that I have.
Yeah, another great book for you to check out if that's something that you're top of your mind. Dan Martell has a book called Buy Back Your Time. It'll change. It's a great book.
Look into it.
Yeah. And again, and the first thing he does January 1st every year is he schedules his personal events for the entire year. Those are the most important things to him. He gets them on the calendar. Work cannot get in the way of him. And he builds his schedule the way he wants it built in advance. And then he figures out some time blocking for daytime events, and he does the same thing. He's up at 4:45, and from 4:45 to 6, it's him sitting, writing, reading. 6 to 7's workout. 7 to 8 kids. 8 o'clock till whenever is work, and he breaks his day out based on tasks. So he's doing like-minded things, because it's hard to be creative and then analytical. It takes time to switch, right? So he pairs things he does throughout the day that he can control, and he puts them all together. So if it's writing estimates, do you have to be creative in that, or just analytical and doing takeoffs, right? Versus sending emails, and he tries to balance his day, and he understands what part of the day he has the most creative mindset, because we're different, right? Some people are super creative at 6 in the morning. Some people are super creative at 10 o'clock at night.
Typically at 9, 10 at night, I'm ready to, my mind's ready to shut down.
Yeah. But I mean,
I am the least bit creative. I'm ready. I'm more in the morning, I'm ready to go in the morning.
I'm the same way. If by 1:30, maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it better be generic administrative tasks or tasks, things that I'm just checking a box to do, and I don't have to create a new idea or a process. Yeah, I want that shit mindless by 2 o'clock, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Because otherwise, I just stare at the computer and I'm I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you'll sit there for an hour, and I haven't got nothing done. That's the hardest thing for me, man. I love being out in the field and working and doing stuff and watching things being built, and that's the hardest part, is having to, there's those days where you're like, okay, you've been putting it off for a week now. I got to sit down at this computer and get this stuff done.
Yeah.
And those are the worst days for me.
Yep, I hear you, man. And some guys I've talked to that have been in the game for a long time, and they're just my mindset changed when I stopped comparing operating the business to man, I miss being in the field, because I love seeing it be done. I love seeing it grow, or project. And he's just and I started to realize that my business was the project, and I could look at my business the same way I looked at a grading job, right? And so I could watch it grow and nurture. And it was once I kind of flipped my script and looked at my business so much as a project, he's I fell in love with it again.
Yeah. And that's one thing, I've been thinking about, is what I want to sit down with some of our guys in leadership and ask them like what they think. Name 2 things that you think I'm good at doing in this business, and then me really focusing on those 2 things, and if it's something I'm not good at, then I need to delegate that to somebody that is better than me at that. Sorry, and kind of it's one thing, like most of our guys, they know their role, but I want to sit down with Phil, which is my project manager, which, by the way, I could not do any of this without him. I brought him on about a year ago, man, and he has been freaking phenomenal. But anyways, I kind of want to sit down with him and create like an org chart, for our guys and have a meeting with everybody. And that way, I think if everybody knew their exact role and, what they were responsible for, it would help a lot with some communication issues that we might have. But I kind of want their insight on what they think I need to spend my time on. Because there's things I may be helping with where they're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, get out of here. Let me handle this. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't want to get in the way. So just kind of sit back and prioritize certain things.
Yeah, and like and from a high level view, meeting you for an hour now, right? Like I have a very small reference point to say this, but like maybe it's time to maybe the goal now is to how do I structure the business, put people in the right places so I can go focus on networking and next quarter's work and not so much the day-to-day fulfillment.
Yeah. Because right now, I mean, we've got people in place that I delegate almost everything out, but I'm still dabbling in a little bit of everything. And I feel like, if I take away a few of those tasks completely and focus more on other areas that we could really benefit from that.
Yep. Yeah, and you might find that you're dabbling. They just smile and look at you like, oh, cool, you're helping with that, and you're actually making it worse for them.
Yeah,
the day they got more work to do because you dabbled in it.
Yeah, here's a pat on the back, bud, but we got this.
100%, man. What's the 5-year goal, Brandon? Is it are you at the top of the mountain you want to reach as far as size and project sizes? Are you get bigger ambitions with this particular business, or?
Man, my answer would be a little bit different if you asked me a year ago. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but now after this past year, I have a different outlook on real expectations. But I would say realistically in 5 years, I would like to be around 50 employees. That'd probably equate to about five crews. I really want to expand into heavier dirt moving jobs, which ironically are kind of harder to come by nowadays locally. I want to kind of get back into utilities like we were. This past year, man, we kind of had to do some soul searching, and I said last summer we had 33 or so employees, and right now we're right at 20. So we've kind of scaled back a good bit, but it was by design. We needed to cast that lasso out and kind of choke it down a little bit and really focus on our systems and getting right people into place before we really expand. And this kind of from that per diem podcast I was mentioned with Keaton Turner. One of the things, one of his angles with that podcast, because he's not trying to reach a huge number of people in the community. He's more trying to reach a less people at a deeper level. rather, I want to grow deeper rather than grow wider. Does that make sense?
100%, man.
I want to really, really narrow down on what we know, what we do, with 20 or so guys, and be the best at what we do, and be, as profitable as we can. And then when we're ready, we can make the move.
Yeah, and honestly, Brandon, like the deeper you go into a niche, the more profitable you become because your efficiencies.
Right.
What took you 10 days now takes 7.
Right. Because, like I said, man, like this past year, I've learned so much in the last year or two. I've made so many mistakes, lost a lot of money. We've made a lot of money, but at the same time, just stupid little decisions that I could have made that, we'd have made twice as much money. And it's things like that you learn along the way. And, there's some days I'm like, dude, like, what the hell am I doing? Do I even need to be doing this? Am I even capable of doing this? And then you kind of got to sit back and like, okay, you're 7 years in and you've done this. You've changed these people's lives. You've helped these people. And okay, what can I do in 7 more years with the knowledge that I have now? And that kind of, shift your perspective, okay, which makes me, I still got a lot of digging to do to figure out some issues, but it almost makes it kind of exciting and looking forward to the future, because now, like, okay, I have a little bit more knowledge on these aspects of growing a business, and I know what not to do now. So I'm looking forward to the next few years. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's awesome.
And just kind of had to learn to say no to a few things.
Yeah, and like the hardest thing I had to learn was you heard it when I was younger, and I was like, "What the hell does that mean?" But fall in love with the process, not the outcome.
Yep, that's what. I've got a couple buddies, that's kind of venturing out and starting their own deal. One of them starting his grading business, similar to how I started. Another one just bought a couple tandem axle rollbacks, and he's hauling skid steered minis for United Rentals. And kind of what I told them, man, is just enjoy the process, because you'll blink your eye, and the next thing you know, you're 5 years in. You're like, what the hell? I barely remember the last 5 years of my life. Whether that be growing the business or even with your family, because you get so involved with the process, you don't even realize kind of what's going on around you.
Yeah. But the reason I brought that up is because as you were talking, you were like, 7 years has passed, and then you're like, you start doubting yourself. I think it's human nature, right? Let's fall back to a safety zone. We're getting outside a comfort level. The body takes over the brain. And then you had to reframe that to be like, yeah, but look what you did in 7 years. Look, what can you imagine what you can do in 7 more, right? Yeah. And that's only possible because you fall in love with the process of that growth. It doesn't have you did not say in 7 years we're going to have 60 employees.
Yeah. And another thing I've kind of realized is myself, my kind of mental state. I feel like every 3 years I kind of get in this rut. I struggle with a little bit of depression and anxiety, and I question, question my abilities, and I doubt myself a lot. And then you just got to dig yourself back out of that. Like, I'll be honest with you, like 3 years ago, I almost sold the business and gave up. And I was just in a really bad, I guess it was probably 3.5, 4 years ago, but I was just in a really bad spot mentally. And just kind of had to kick myself in the ass and be like, look, dude, you got mouths to feed. Because I was working on, I had an opportunity to sell but then I was going to have to go back and work for somebody else. And it's just like, okay, what if you don't keep going? What opportunities are you missing out on? And I try to think, any opportunities that come out, like a lot of people are scared to, kind of going on a tangent here, but a lot of people are kind of scared to take an opportunity. Like, what if I fail? Okay, what if you fail? You're back to where you're at now.
Good.
Good. Now you restart. You got to look at it like, okay, what if I don't take this opportunity? What am I going to miss? What opportunities am I passing up here? And I mean, that mentality is kind of, it's been a blessing and a curse for me, honestly.
Yep.
But at the same time, you never make any of the shots you don't take. So.
Yeah, and well said throughout that. Thank you for going on that tangent. Like, we're designed for survival, right? Human beings are designed for survival. Growth and doing new shit ain't survival. It's like we've got to beat the nature that's in our brain that says, hey, just curl up in a ball, go be safe, stop exploring, stop trying to do things. So that's when that mindset comes in. And yeah, you just got to pause and like work through it. Your guy Jocko Willnick says it best, right? He's like, when problems come up, I say good, because problems don't happen to people that aren't making moves.
Exactly.
And the bigger your problems, good, means your business is growing, because $1 million problems don't happen to $100,000 business.
That's right. And but I mean, you're never. If you find yourself stuck in that victim mentality, and by what I mean by that is, like, if you're constantly thinking like, oh, this guy's got this guy, like, oh, it must be nice, he's got a brand new truck, he's got, he's got a nice family, he's got kids, he's living the dream. Like, here I am, just, I ain't got crap, I'm broke. Like, if you always have that mentality, you're never going to go anywhere. Like, you got to just eventually realize everybody's got issues. Like, freaking your local millionaire down the road, he's got just as many personal issues as you going on. I mean, it's,
yeah.
You just gotta pick yourself up and keep digging.
And Brandon, I've said this to a few people over the years, and I'm like, God didn't make it rain for you. Like, stop blaming God on the weather while you can't work. It didn't do it to you.
Yep. And then, like, I'm a firm believer nothing good comes without hard work. I mean, you've got to. Most nice things, that come in life, it comes from putting in the work and the effort.
Yeah. And I think every setback has happened so you can learn from it. It's your job to review it and, like, what can I improve, whether it be personal or professional.
Yeah.
Because the catastrophic ones never happen the first time. It's when you repeat the same mistake numerous times, usually.
Yep. Yep. And we are a stubborn species.
Yes, sir, we are. Yes, sir, we are. Man, I think this has been a power-packed episode. I love your candidness to talk about the team growth, some of the struggles you face with your business, even more so like the struggles we all face as business owners that many of us just don't talk about, right? I'm sure everybody goes through that cycle of, I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
And, so I appreciate you being open and coming on and sharing your knowledge, your experience, your insights. Means a lot to me, and hopefully the listeners appreciate it too.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me on. I enjoyed it. I apologize if I kind of rambled on. It's the first time I've done this, so but I enjoyed it.
I love the ramble, so you could have kept rambling. I'm cool. I love the rabbit holes. I love the rambles. I think that's when the true raw emotion comes out of people, not with the short answers. So yeah. I enjoyed it.
But for anybody that's out there, that's still just getting started or just looking at at expanding their business and hiring people, you can't be scared to make that step. Just make sure you're hiring the right person for the role that you need, and you can't be scared to take that first step. You just got to do it.
Yep. I mean, it won't be his last job. It's probably not his first job. And if things don't work out, he'll go find another job, right? Like, it's not your responsibility to protect their livelihood.
Yep. And
just try to minimize
the process.
Hell yeah, man. Enjoy the process. We just hired 2 new employees this week for some of our ventures. So
yeah,
I get jazzed up over it.
If you're in the Charlotte area and you have a Class B CDLs, we are looking for a dump truck driver.
I love it, man. Yeah, those CDLs they've made the world tough the way they've changed the regulations and pricing and all that on those things.
Yeah, and all the good drivers, man, they're taken. If you get a hold of a good driver, or really a good employee anywhere, man, you make sure you take care of them.
Yeah, and let me define take care of. It's not $2 more an hour. It's clear communication. It's respecting them. It's appreciating them. Understanding it's take care of them, right? Like
100%.
Yeah.
Treat them like family.
Yeah, I pay him well. Yeah, but you kick him like it's a dog. So why would he stay?
Yeah.
You know. Awesome, Brandon. We'll appreciate that. Guys, if you want to reach out to Brandon, tell him thanks for jumping on the show. We'll put the link to his business profile from Facebook in the show notes. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. I bet he would, if he has some time, would share any advice on hiring or some other things if you need it.
Definitely.
I am extremely grateful for you coming on the show and doing all that. And I think on that, I'm going to just wrap it up here. I don't know what else to say to you.
Sounds good. I'd be willing to do it again if you ever had time.
Well, hey, you have anything happen with your business, good, bad, or ugly, you just shoot me a message and be like, hey, I'm like, let's do it.
All right. I appreciate it, Ron.
Yep, I appreciate you. Guys, until next week, keep grinding. Grit is a good thing. Take a deep breath from time to time, regroup, refocus, and just push through and try to make smart choices. So until next Wednesday, take care.